This is TBK's Truth Frame, revealing the echoes of history across our world. Banff, a sacred place long before Canada was born. The mountain that remembers. Banff is often introduced as a postcard, turquoise lakes, towering peaks, and a town that feels like a gateway to heaven. But beneath the beauty lies a much older story, one that predates Canada, predates the railway, predates even the idea of Alberta. This land has been walked, preyed upon, hunted, healed, and named by indigenous peoples for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows human presence here going back 13,000 years, including a Clovis point found near Lake Minnewanka. Today, we peel back the layers to honor the original inhabitants, understand what happened to them, and trace how this sacred place came to be called Banff. The original inhabitants. 1. The Stoney Nakoda, Iyari Nakoda. The Stoney Nakoda are the primary indigenous nation associated with the Banff region. They call the area Minneharpa, mountain where the water falls, referring to Cascade Mountain. They also named Lake Minnewanka Minwaki, Lake of the Spirits. The Stoney Nakoda saw the Rockies as a sacred realm, a place where the physical and spiritual worlds touched. Chief John Snow described the mountains as our temples, our sanctuaries, where the Great Spirit speaks with us. They used the hot springs for healing, gathered medicines on Sulphur Mountain, and moved seasonally through the valleys. 2. The Blackfoot Confederacy. To the Blackfoot, Banff was part of a vast territory of hunting, trading, and spiritual significance. They called the area Nato Osiskum, Holy Springs. The Bow River's name also comes from their tradition of making bows from reeds along its banks. 3. The Cree. The Cree referred to Cascade Mountain as Nipikapakitik, named after the waterfall. They hunted, traded, and traveled through the region, especially during seasonal migrations. 4. The Tsuut'ina, Sarsi. The Tsuut'ina called the Banff area a shared landscape. Banff was not the territory of one nation alone. It was a meeting ground, a crossroads for trade, ceremony, seasonal migration, gathering medicines, accessing sacred sites. Over 450 indigenous archaeological sites have been found in Banff National Park. This was, and remains, a living cultural landscape. What happened to them? The arrival of Europeans. European contact began in the 17th and 18th centuries. Indigenous peoples traded furs, hides, and meat with explorers and settlers. They also served as guides for traders, missionaries, surveyors, railway builders. Their knowledge of the land was indispensable. Everything changed when 3 Canadian Pacific Railway workers stumbled upon the hot springs on Sulphur Mountain in 1883. The federal government quickly moved to protect and commercialize the area. In 1885, the government created a small reserve around the springs. In 1887, it expanded this into the Rocky Mountains Park of Canada, later renamed Banff National Park, Canada's first national park. Exclusion of Indigenous peoples. Once the park was established, a policy emerged that excluded Indigenous peoples. Traditional hunting and gathering were banned. Indigenous families were forcibly removed or pressured to leave. Access to sacred sites and medicines was restricted. This was part of a broader national pattern of displacement and assimilation. Parks Canada acknowledges this history today. Reconciliation efforts today. Over the past 50 years, policies have shifted. Indigenous nations are now consulted in park management. Traditional place names are being restored. Cultural interpretation programs include Indigenous voices. The Stoney Nakoda have reintroduced plaques with original names across the Bow Valley. Banff is slowly rediscovering the stories that were nearly erased. Who named it Banff? The name Banff was given by early Scottish railway officials. Many of the town's founders were from Banffshire, Scotland, and named the area after their homeland. In Gaelic, Banff can be translated as Holy Woman. So the modern name is European, but the land's original names, carried by Indigenous nations, are far older and far more connected to the spirit of the place. The land remembers. And now, finally, we are learning to remember with it. When we stand at Lake Louise or walk down Banff Avenue, we are not just tourists in a mountain town. We are walking on a 13,000-year-old story, a story of sacred waters, healing springs, and mountains that speak. Banff is beautiful not because of what Canada built here, but because of what Indigenous peoples understood here. The land remembers. And now, finally, we are learning to remember with it.